Welcome back, Heat Seekers. Week 13. Week 13. All the past seasons, this would be our final regular season week for fantasy football, but we get a bonus week this year. Next week will be the final week, and we are here to help answer your questions and get you set up to head into the playoffs. But first, Sully, how are your teams doing?
I'm okay. I was looking at it earlier this morning. I've been up for a while, but it looks like most of my teams have a shot at being in the playoffs. I have a couple that I'm in, and then I have a couple of rebuilding, sort of middling teams. So not a bad year. Not as good as it was for me last year, but not bad overall. How about you, Bryce?
Yeah, the past couple of weeks, it's dwindled down to really 3 teams that I'm hopeful make the playoffs, 2 redrafts and 1 dynasty. So hopefully, I've got 7 wins and I think all of them. So I might make the playoffs anyway, but it'd be nice to really get a win this week and kind of secure that playoff spot in all of those leagues. So it's looking pretty good for me so far. Rick, how are your leagues?
Pretty good. I would say I'm probably in the playoff hunt in half of my leagues, and then my 4 bigger leagues, I'm in pretty good shape. So hopefully I can take one of those down and pay for all of my leagues. That would be nice. But Bryce, you play in one of the 250s. We get 50 every week. And I have 3 of those leagues, so I've got 5 of those. So one of those leagues is paid for from winning high score throughout the 3 leagues 5 times this year. So that's not too bad. So I have a number 1 seed that could get me another one paid for if I can hold on to that number 1 seed and obviously a bye. So that would be nice. But I'm decimated. I have Jalen Hurts and Justin Fields as my 2 QBs, and obviously looks like neither of them are going to play today. So that should be fun navigating that with figuring out a backup situation today. But yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. I feel really good about some of the calls that we had last week. Obviously, my boy Javonte Williams ended up having his career day last week when I thought that, playing the Chargers, we like running backs versus the Chargers, and that panned out pretty well. So hopefully we can have some more of those calls today.
Yep.
Denny says, "What's up, boys? PPR, Mike Evans or Deontay Johnson?" Bryce.
This is a hard one, but Deontay Johnson for me. The dude literally gets 15 points every single week. I'm not giving up that floor, where Mike Evans' floor is definitely lower, but his ceiling is probably higher. But I'm sticking with Deontay Johnson. Sully?
Yeah, I'm the same. I have Deontay Johnson inside my top 10. I think he has a big week. I think 15 is a little low for him this week, but I'd say that's his floor. So he's my guy for sure. Rick?
Yeah, we're all on the same page here. I just don't think there's any time until proven otherwise that we can sit Deontay Johnson. I think he's in a group of probably 6 to 8 wide receivers where it's just you plug him in and you just enjoy the production because it's every week from this guy. So definitely starting Deontay Johnson. You're in a pretty good spot though if you're considering not sitting or not starting one of these guys in your lineup this week. So good luck, Denny. Hope you get that dub.
Absolutely.
Our boy Craig, Jurassic Park, says, "Howdy, boys. Taylor Heineke or Tyrod for second QB in a super flex?" Sully, where are you going with this? We know Tyrod's got the Colts, right?
Hang on, let me scroll down my rankings for a second. I have actually I have Tyrod pretty decent spot this week, but I have Heineke just outside my top 15 or outside my top 12. Pardon me. So that's where I would lean. He's played well of late, so I'll roll with Heineke.
Who do the Redskins have? Raiders, right?
They play the Raiders.
The Washington football team.
The Washington football team.
Dare you?
Whatever.
We got to pay a fine for that.
NFL fines Rick Butts for inappropriately saying the wrong name. I'm also going to
my bad. You can get a whole $3 from me. I just committed all my money.
Yeah, I'm also going to Taylor Heineke. He's proven to be an efficient fantasy quarterback.
This is not a good week for quarterbacks.
No, it's I wish I had one of these guys to play in my in the league I was just talking about, to be
Well,
honest
it's
with you.
like we said before we went on, I'm starting Mike Glennon in the Superflex league as my only quarterback this week.
Hopefully nobody in my league is watching because I'm trying to pick him up so I can have a quarterback to start.
It's crazy, eh?
Yeah, I'm going Taylor Heineke too. I think the Colts are gonna run the ball, slow that game down, which is gonna limit Tyrod's opportunity in that game. Unless Taylor just pops off a bunch of 50-yarders and they don't control the ball just because of that. I feel like the Colts are going to score a lot and Taylor's going to have a big day. So definitely like Taylor Heineke. Should have more opportunity there. Peter says, good morning, gentlemen. Yet another week, yet another deep dynasty question. Half-point PPR. Start, sit Mecole Hardman or Mike Gesicki in my flex spot. So, Bryce, who you starting here? Mecole Hardman or Mike Gesicki in a half-point PPR?
I'm probably still going Mike Gesicki. Mecole Hardman just is. I just don't trust his usage every single week. Where Mike Gesicki consistently sees 8 to 10 targets. It seems like this is a situation where I do feel much more comfortable starting a tight end over a wide receiver in Mike Gesicki. Sully, what are your thoughts?
100%. It's Mike Gesicki for me, and respectfully, it's not very close. Rick?
Yeah, I'm with Mike Gesicki here too. Obviously, we saw the 8-target 0-point output by Mike Gesicki a couple weeks ago, but other than that, he's at least got a solid floor for you. And then we know that on any given week, it could be him getting 8 to 10 catches and a touchdown and get you a big week. Mecole basically has to break you a big one. Yeah. So I'm going to go with Mike Gesicki as well. And then Denny is back with another one. He says, flex PPR, Mike Evans, Barkley, James Robinson, James Conner. This is an 8-man dynasty super flex. I'm starting Cup, Deontay, Mixon, Taylor. Mortgage my future to get some of these guys.
Yeah, I think he's just pointing out of why he had to choose between Evans and Deontay Johnson.
Well, no, and now he's looking for a flex. Evans, Barkley, James Robinson,
flex, yeah.
or Connor.
Oh my gosh.
In the flex.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say it comes on the Mike Evans or James Robinson for me right now.
I'm on a different page. I think I'm James Conner here in really crap weather in Chicago. I think they're gonna run the ball a lot. Your run defense isn't what it used to be in Chicago. I like James Conner here. And if it wasn't Conner, it would be Mike Evans for me.
Go ahead, Rick. I'm going to look something up real quick.
I mean, the run defense isn't what it was, but it's still not bad.
Is Hicks playing?
I think Hicks was questionable last time I seen.
That would change my mind. If he's out, then it's Conner for sure. But if he's in, then I might go to I'd go to Mike Evans.
Hicks. With I will say that Hicks missing isn't as bad with Eddie Goldman back.
That's fair.
This year. They haven't been as bad missing Hicks as they have in the past. Hicks is out. Roquan Smith is questionable too.
I'll go James Conner.
If Roquan Smith is out, that would definitely change my mind here. Because Roquan Smith is the guy that is the anchor of that defense now. And he's just all over the place, stopping everybody. Yeah, I can get on board with James Conner. This is obviously in an 8-man dynasty and you have this quality here.
I don't think you have a bad start here.
Yeah,
if you flex any of them.
Sadly, Barkley's the one that worries me the most, just because it's the freaking Giants. Bryce, what are you thinking?
I am going with Barkley. So Barkley took 3 weeks to put up over 20 points at the beginning of the season, coming off an injury. He is now in his 3rd week back. He saw almost the same progressive workload every single time. I think he got 16 touches last week or 17 in week 2 this year. His 2nd week back from his ACL tear, he had like 15 touches. He's going against a defense that's ranked 28th against the running back. I'm going to project again that Barkley has his 20-plus point week this week and next week.
You're not worried about boxes stacked galore against Mike Glennon?
I think he gets most of his action out of the pass game anyway, so not really.
Okay.
So.
See, what worried me was last week the Giants had a lead, and I remember chatting with some other fantasy buddies, and I'm like, why when they have the lead, why are they not giving Barkley the ball? Like, they just weren't giving him the ball. It's tough, man. That line is bad, and his stats don't look great. He has to break that big one because they're not very efficient running the ball. But again, literally any of these four could be the guy that has the best week. I can get on board with Hicks and Smith having a hamstring problem, Connor being the safest play against Chicago. Peter says, is it crazy to consider playing Minshew over Cousins? And Sully was very angry at me last week for cursing his quarterback after I talked nice about him. And then he went out and had his worst game of the year. So, Sully, I'll let you start with this one, and I won't say anything.
Entering last week, Kirk Cousins was the only quarterback in the NFL in the top 10 of the following categories: completion percentage, passing yards, passing touchdowns, interceptions, and passer rating. And he was not good last week. Kirk Cousins is playing Detroit today. Kirk Cousins will be fine today. Is it crazy to consider Gardner Minshew over Kirk Cousins? It's batshit crazy. Bryce?
I don't know how to follow that and sound any more intelligent. I agree, Kirk Cousins.
I agree. I talked good about him last week. He had a bad game.
Say something bad against him, would you?
I'm not gonna go and act like he's just all of a sudden the most terrible quarterback in the league or anything. So Minshew's not good. And I would much rather play Cousins than Gardner Minshew. So,
what's your take on that entire Philadelphia offense now?
I mean, I don't think it changes a lot. I think a lot of Hurts issues are the same that Minshew has. I think that neither of them are very accurate passers. Minshew's probably a little more accurate deep, but it's nothing to write home about. They both have, play on the ground with their legs, which obviously Hurts has as good or better than anybody but, probably Lamar or maybe Kyler in the league. So he's on a different level there. So I don't think it helps the offense with Minshew in there. He may be a little bit better on dink and dunk stuff, dropping off to the running back, soft passes, but it's not great. And to be honest, up until last week, Jalen Hurts was playing pretty well now that they started running the ball, and they were, they weren't just relying on his arm. And last week did not go well. I think he had 4 interceptions. But obviously we find out that he was also hurt in that game. So how much did that play into it? So I'm not a Minshew fan. I think he's one of those guys that came in, had a little bit of a, kind of like what was that New York guard, the Asian guy, Lynn?
Yeah.
Jeremy Lin.
Jeremy Lin. It was kind of like that, right? Like it was kind of the similar thing. And Lynn had hung around the league for a long time. He was a good role player, but I mean, he had that stretch where he was like the shit. And Minshew kind of reminds me of that. He had a couple good games. Everybody got infatuated with him because of the mustache and the hair and the antics and everything like that, but doesn't make him a good football player, NFL player. He's a good football player, obviously.
Right.
He's in the NFL, but Jesse says, but he had Cousins. Dalvin Cook, talking about Cousins, and that is true. We've seen how losing a running back of that caliber can affect a quarterback. We're seeing it in Tennessee right now, right?
It's not the same situation, though.
No, it's not the same situation, but having that guy is very important to an offense, just in general.
Can't Madison do 90% of what Dalvin does?
I don't know if he can do
especially-
90%.
It's
I
probably
think it-
85,
I think-
90 in my opinion.
I think this week, considering who they're playing, he can get to 80-ish%.
Yeah.
But Thielen's going to have a decent day. Conklin should be relevant today. Jefferson is Jefferson. Like, I don't see the only thing that hurts Cousins this week potentially, and I don't want to go cursing my Vikings because we don't blow anybody out. We win or lose every game by a single score. But if they're up, then he's just not going to throw the football that much. But I think to get up, he has to throw the football. And like, what are we expecting out of Gardner Minshew? Like, fantasy points wise, 12, 14?
15.
Yeah, like Cousins does that in his sleep.
Yeah. I'm not saying that Dalvin Cook just wrecks this offense. We've seen Dalvin Cook miss in this offense before and
Sadly,
then do
yes.
fine. But I'm just saying that there is a point to where Madison's got probably 70% of the talent of Dalvin Cook.
That's fair, I think. Yeah.
But he can pass, he can catch the ball, he can run, but he's not Dalvin Cook. So
No, he's not.
that is a downgrade for sure.
Yeah.
But when you have the other weapons, that they have with Jefferson and Thielen, you're in pretty good shape in the pass game either way.
I'm just looking up Alexander Madison because when Dalvin missed earlier this season, one of the games was against Detroit.
I just don't think defenses really changed the way they approach the Vikings when Madison's back there to Dalvin. It might be a little bit, but it's not significant. Like teams change when Derrick Henry's not in the lineup. Like because of how talented Jefferson and Thielen are, I think the defenses almost play the same way.
So Madison had 26 fantasy points in week 5 against the Lions. And in that game, one moment, please. Kirk Cousins only had 14.5, so maybe there's something to that.
Yeah.
What was
Detroit's
the score?
bad. What was the score?
It was like we won in overtime because we're so good. 19-16, I think was the score.
Oh my gosh!
At home.
I
That
thought
was
it
at
like
home,
you were
too.
blowing them out. I thought you were
No, we
blowing
don't
them
blow
out.
anybody Vikings are the only team in the NFL to have a 7-point lead in every single game this season, and they have a losing record.
Peter says, are you guys worried about the game script in Detroit? We just found out that we are.
Yeah. Yep.
We just found out when Sully read that off. I was worried about Madison taking over and the passing game disappearing. Also, Minshew helped me in many games last season. I will say Minshew, fantasy-wise, doesn't equate to, NFL quality quarterback play.
Right.
But he does have that running ability or rushing ability at the QB position, which gives him a solid floor on a week-to-week basis. I don't know that it changes your outlook for Devonta Smith or Dallas Goedert or anything like that. I just don't know that, Minshew improves the offense from a fantasy perspective.
Good matchup though for Philadelphia for what it's worth. Like the Jets don't do anything well, right? So, but the one thing that New York is especially bad at is playing the run, and I just see Miles Sanders and Boston Scott running all over them all day. So
if Boston Scott plays,
he's supposed to. It's not official.
It looks like
yet,
he's
though.
supposed to, but yeah.
I hope he doesn't. I need Miles Sanders in a bunch of spots.
Jesse said, I'm starting Kirk. Just curious thoughts on that.
Get me all fired up, Jesse.
Get the Vikings fan all heated. Jesse also said, sounds good. And Cheesehead says, Wentz versus Texans or Tua versus Giants.
That's a good one.
I personally am going with Tua. And I mean, obviously the matchup for Wentz is not bad, but it's also really good for one Mr. Jonathan Taylor. So this could be another 3-touchdown Jonathan Taylor day. And if that happens, it doesn't bode well for Mr. Carson Wentz, which if you've seen him run lately, looks like a wounded deer after being shot. He does not look good. I saw him run for a first down the other day, and I'm like, holy Jesus. Like, I look better than that at 37 and fat. Them ankles are not doing very well for him. Bryce, about running. How's that work out for you?
Yeah. Well, I don't even need to get tackled. Yeah. I'm also going Tua for similar reasons. I think that the Colts and the coaching staff have got to be, kicking themselves. If you guys watched last week's game, all they had to do was run the ball, right? I mean, they had a lead, and for some reason they weren't giving the best running back in the NFL right now the ball until like one drive. So I think they make that statement and they right that wrong today by feeding Jonathan Taylor 25 touches probably is what I'm expecting. And Carson Wentz, I don't like the touchdown upside with Jonathan Taylor back there. So I'm also going Tua against the Giants. The Giants do one thing fairly well, and it's their front four are pretty stout. So I see them maybe struggling a little bit in the run game and Tua leaning on Tua to pass it to, and they have Devontae Parker back. So I like that extra weapon for him, especially in the red zone. I agree. Sully?
Yeah, they're back-to-back in my rankings. Tua's one spot ahead of them at 12. So I'm with you on Tua. I think Tua's starting to show us a little bit of why he is who he is and was drafted where he was drafted. I think he's finally, getting acclimatized to the NFL and might actually be healthy for the first time in his career. So, and to your point about their front four, Tua gets that ball out in a hurry, right? So it's another Jalen Waddle type game. Gesicki, like we talked about earlier, I like. All those guys are on the line of scrimmage. You can get the ball out in a hurry or there for him. I like Wentz too, but I just don't think they need Wentz today. So
right,
I'll go with Tua.
Yeah, and to be straight up, this could be similar to last week where Wentz has 3 touchdowns in the first half.
Yep.
It could be like that because this is the Texans, but we've also seen the Texans defense play well over expectations. Pretty much all of the season. Every time that we've thought that teams were just going to blow them out, they come out and put up a fight at least for like 3 quarters, and then maybe fall off at the end of the game. But with Tyrod back there, they're a lot better than they were with Davis Mills. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
Tua's been showing well, and I love the progression, and I think part of that may be because all the trade rumors out of the way. Like, I don't care who you are, if you don't know where you're going to be the next week, it's got to be pretty tough when you've also got the responsibility of carrying a 53-man roster on your back. And you were the savior just a year ago for a franchise looking for a quarterback. So, with all that gone and out of the way, Tua can just concentrate on playing football. And I've seen him progress really, really well over this year. And I'm happy to see it because I just like the kid.
We talked on Tuesday. We did a quarterback dynasty quarterback rankings, Brad and Anthony and I asked them both if they would have considered Tua for their top 12, and neither one of them did. And I think he's going to be close in dynasty rankings when it's all said and done. And you're bang on when it comes to that trade deadline, because if you look at what he's done since the trade deadline and the Deshaun Watson stuff has come and gone, he's been on fire. And I think he's probably changing Miami's opinion really quickly as to what they're going to do going forward. And I don't think Watson's the answer for them anymore.
I don't think as a franchise you need that headache. What were you going to say, Bryce?
I just agree. Like I can, admit when I'm wrong. And I didn't think Tua was going to be the answer. I thought he was going to struggle, but I've been kind of watching the Dolphins, that whole division, like the Patriots, Dolphins, Bills have like started to look pretty good. And he's just been playing well. And I don't know if it's the addition to Waddle, like a familiar, target for him. Having that with Gesicki when Parker comes back, I think those 3 are going to be that's a great combo to have as a young quarterback, and just him getting his head on straight and things like that. Tua is looking like he deserved to be drafted where he did. So,
and if they could ever get Will Fuller on the field.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And that was a 1-7 team that arguably could make the playoffs. To Matt's point last week, they're playing really, really well. And if Tua gets him into the playoffs and steals a wild card game, I think he's got a gig for sure.
Yeah, I don't see. For one, we've talked about this many times, right? Look at Peyton Manning his rookie year, and I'm not comparing Tua to Peyton Manning, but you look, Manning has the interception record for a rookie. Like one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time has the record for most interceptions as a rookie. It is hard to come into this league. We're seeing it with Zach Wilson. We're seeing it with Justin Fields, and we're seeing it with Trevor Lawrence. All of them have had immense struggles in their rookie year at different point in times. That happens. We're seeing it even in the second year with Justin Herbert, right? Who just came in gangbusters, just scoring fantasy points, looking great. Year 2, he's been up and down. He's been very inconsistent. And we've seen the best and the worst. Burrow, we've seen ups and downs with. That happens with young quarterbacks. And that's why, I was not a Jalen Hurts fan, but seeing that progression is what we want to see. And when we see that his stats were very comparable to Lamar Jackson in his first 12 games, Lamar Jackson also has a better arm than Jalen Hurts. But at the same time, if Nelson Aguilar 2.0 wasn't in Philly last week, they may have got the dub, right? My boy Jalen Reagor is now Nelson Aguilar 2.0. The memes are out there, the catching babies from the burning house, all that. Now it's Jalen Reagor. But Jalen Hurts put them in a position to win. That's the type of stuff that you want to see from these young quarterbacks. I think we're seeing it more so from Tua than a lot of these other guys over the last 4 to 6 weeks.
I think we tend to lose the fact when we evaluate these guys, and we have such expectations of these rookie quarterbacks coming out. I think what we forget a lot of the times is that these are shitty teams that are drafting these quarterbacks. That's why they have that draft pick in the first place, right? Like, you look at all the top drafted quarterbacks. The only one that really stood out as a rookie was Andrew Luck, and that was only because Peyton Manning had taken the previous year off with his neck injury, and that playoff-bound team was garbage and ended up with a high pick. So I think that all those quarterbacks that you mentioned are going to struggle. And Justin Herbert's interesting to me because last year there was zero expectations on Justin Herbert. He came in out of the blue when they stabbed their quarterback, and he played well. And now this year you turn the bright lights on him with expectations, and he's kind of struggled at points. So
talk about stabbing your free.
They didn't stab him in the back. They stabbed him in the front.
Yeah, right in the lungs.
Just harpooned the poor guy. Poor guy, man.
Oh,
he's had such a rough career.
That is very true though. Like he's the one that interests me the most out of this, right? Because like Burrow, we've seen slight up and downs, but he didn't get a full rookie season because of the injury that he had. And then you got to come back and find your feeling on the field and trust that your injury is healed, right? So, but he's got the weapons, man. With Higgins, finally, we talked about Higgins last week too, right? And we all started him, said we were going to start him, but we were also like, man, this guy hasn't done anything since week 2. But this is a spot that looks good, and that came to fruition. But
it's interesting in Cincy though, because since opponents have sort of tried to take Chase away, Burrow struggled. And it wasn't until getting Higgins going that he kind of bounced out of it a little bit. So if Higgins can get going, that's way better for Jamar Chase, and he's bound to go bonkers again, right? Because he started off super hot and he's been cold since about week 8, but I think Chase could go nuts today.
It's funny, Jesse literally right after Cheesehead had the same exact question. So
there you go.
We got both of those in one. Jesse also said, wow, what a stat on the Vikings.
Oh, the winning by 7 and losing. Yeah, we're here to entertain.
And she said thanks.
So I got ESPN on the background here, and I just saw that the Colts second round pick that they gave for Wentz becomes a first rounder today if Wentz plays the full game. So looks like the Colts will be losing their first round pick to the Eagles today.
Wait, here's the question: if the Colts are up by, I don't know, 14-21 first half, do you preserve that first rounder, or does it, or could it still fulfill next week?
I think it can fulfill the rest of the season.
So it doesn't matter because he's going to have to play a full game because they're going to play a competitive game before the end of the year anyway.
But today it'll be the official our first round pick is gone.
It's number of starts or percentage of snaps. So either way, he's going to hit it.
Yep.
Jesse, super sticker. We appreciate
brother.
It. That helps a lot. I was just telling these guys we have a lot of improvements coming to Roto Heat in 2022. and I can tell you that they are not cheap. So every dollar helps. So we appreciate you, Jesse. It is very, very much appreciated by everybody on the Roto Heat team.
Very cool. Thank you.
CB says, hey guys, I'm not sure about playing Kyler in rain and wind in Chicago. Would you start Heineke? If Kyler's playing, I'm starting him. There's no sitting him. 17-mile-an-hour winds isn't the crazy part. The rain would be what worries me, but yeah, I'm not sitting Kyler. I just can't do it. He can get there. He can get there with his legs.
Yeah.
Bryce, is that what you're getting ready to say? I took it from you.
I mean, he could rush for 80 yards and
see. I'm the other side of that, and I'm still starting Kyler, but I'm not starting him because he doesn't run anymore. I'm not running him. I'm starting him. Sorry, I'm not starting him looking for rushing upside because that's not part of his game anymore, especially coming off of an ankle injury. But he still has the ability and the weapons around him to get the ball out, short yardage passes, and move the ball down the field against a defense that is accommodating. So to Rick's point, I'm starting Kyler Murray 100 times out of 100 if he's active. I'm just not looking for him to do anything with his legs because that just isn't part of his game anymore.
Well, I feel like if they're worried about throwing the ball, then they will have some plays for Kyler to run the ball.
Possible.
And they're not bringing him back if he's not healthy, right? I really don't think they would. I don't think they would risk him, whether you want to admit it or not. Chicago does put pressure on the quarterback. Robert Quinn just won Defensive Player of the month because of the pressure he's putting on quarterbacks right now. So I just don't think they would start him in that spot if he wasn't healthy and could move around, because Chicago's not a team that you want to be putting a injured quarterback that can't move back there, because they will put pressure on them, even without Khalil Mack.
Sure.
Which that could change again with Roquan Smith if he's not playing, because Roquan Smith gives you the freedom to do a lot more with other guys because of what he can do.
Kyler's biggest rushing day this year has been 39 yards back in week 4. So it's just really not his thing anymore. Ever since he got injured last year, they've kind of kept the horse in the stable.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that he's going to go out there and get you a bill, but if he rushed for 60 yards today, it wouldn't surprise me.
That smells like a $5 bet, but I don't know if I want to do it.
Well, I'm not betting on it. I'm just saying that
we bet on worse shit. We bet on worse shit than that.
You know what? We
bet on Rex Burkhead and Ty Johnson last week.
And we freaking lost.
I know.
They scored like 12 total points. I was thinking about that last week, right? Like, obviously my Javonte Williams bets played out pretty well. Hopefully I had enough of those to make up for the Ty Johnson bets, but
shit show.
But just this year, like, our bets have been freaking horrendous. We've had a 0-0 bet where both guys got shut out. Bryce and I had a week where it was like Sutton versus somebody, and it was like 6-4. We obviously had the Burkhead Johnson. It was like one of Waddle's bad weeks where it was like 6-4. Waddle beat Sutton. We've had some really bad bets.
Sully didn't win a single bet last week. He lost.
I don't think I've won a single bet all year.
Johnson and Gordon.
No, you beat me. You beat me with Van Jefferson beating Marvin Jones Jr.
Kyler and Nuke are both active today.
So they're both active.
Yeah.
I honestly think that when they get in the red zone, they're gonna have to throw the ball. I don't think they're gonna be running the ball in with. I don't think Connor's multi-touchdown game is here in Chicago today.
What do you think how do you think Hopkins is utilized? Same thing, like he wouldn't be playing if he wasn't healthy, kind of thing?
Yeah, but we've seen, like, this is like the first time we've actually seen Hopkins miss games, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like he's been on the field always through injury, and he's always produced. So I feel like if he's on the field now, he's in a position to produce. I would think, especially in the rain and stuff. Like you said, he's actually out running routes every play. So he's got to make those cuts and stuff on a wet field. I don't think they'd put him in that position if he wasn't good enough to go.
Castile.
Castile. We'll get to that one here. Big
BS told me the story, by the way.
We're gonna have to cover that in a minute when we get to his question. I just want to make sure that the story was told correctly. Morning roster Gage or Devontae Parker full PPR. Personally, me right now, I feel like Gage is the wide receiver 1 in Atlanta, and he's the one that is going to get targeted in Atlanta. I feel more comfortable with him, though I do feel like Parker has more upside. So that would be my deciding factor. Do I need the safer play or do I need the upside play? Sully, what are you thinking?
I think the floor on both of these guys is nothing. So I don't know if either one of them is safe. We've seen Russell Gage put up double-digit fantasy points, followed by weeks of 0, followed by double digits, followed by 3 or 4 points. So he's tough to pick. But Devontae Parker last year, and it's not the biggest sample size in the world, and he was a rookie quarterback at the time, but Parker did all his damage with Fitzpatrick last year and did very little with Tua. He's coming back off of IR. I think they'll ease him back in. Russell Gage would be the guy that I would prefer here. Bryce?
Yeah, I agree for the same reason you just said. A guy coming off IR, I don't know if he gets the full workload. And I want the guy that's is on the field more, probably sees more targets. I'm going to go with Russell Gage as well.
That helps in PPR too.
Clean sweep, Russell Gage, big BS. I hope that helps you. But I will say with Parker, he's just got that. He's got that big playability that sometimes comes through. It's not consistent, but I would play him if I felt like my team was behind my opponent, personally. My 3 favorite guys to spend Sunday morning with. That's right, Matt. Good thing you missed today.
He doesn't make it.
With Zeke obviously being hurt, I have Pollard and was thinking that he may be a solid flex play as we get into playoff season. Is that very feasible to play him week in and week out from here on out? This all comes down to who else you have that you could plug in there. He could be the best option, but he may not be. It would just be determined on the other players that you have and their matchups as well. But right now, Pollard looks like a solid flex play. Just does.
Yeah. Tony Pollard should be getting the work in Dallas right now over Ezekiel Elliott. And it's Jerry Jones and it's Zeke's contract to keep him on the field. He looks brutal. He couldn't even get back into the huddle this week. He was limping to get into the huddle. I don't understand what you're doing. If he is your franchise running back, then put him on the shelf for a couple of weeks, let him rest up, and let Pollard go crazy because Pollard looks amazing when he has the ball. So I don't get it. Is Tony Pollard a viable flex play? To Rick's point, totally depends on your roster. But right now, if I had to pick between Pollard and Zeke, I'm probably picking Pollard.
Yeah, I agree because of Zeke's injury. I don't understand why they're keeping him on the field at this point. I think Zeke is probably arguably one of the best all-around backs in the league, especially when it comes to pass blocking, right? I know that doesn't really matter in fantasy points and everything like that, but he is just able to do everything for that offense. And when you have a guy back there that can take on full-size linebackers, where Tony Pollard's not going to be doing that, he's going to go on routes. Instead, you need that guy healthy. You can't have a dude back there limping, trying to take on blocks of guys as big or bigger than him. So it doesn't really make much sense for Zeke to be on the field with him not being at least 85 to 90% healthy. Tony Pollard isn't really quite built, I don't think, for a full workload like Zeke. It's easy to look fresh when you get, 10, 12 touches a week. And he's explosive, right? He's got the big playability. We saw it on Thursday night. I think he could easily handle the workload for a couple of weeks. But any running back that gets the amount of touches that Zeke has over the past couple of years, you're going to expect him to get injured. But the organization's got to take control and tell them to rest that guy. I mean, it's just ridiculous that he's been limping for 3 weeks now. He needs to be on the sideline for a week or two and rest up.
But then you get Jerry Jones going on radio saying Zeke's going to have a massive workload this week. It's
and he didn't.
But what is Jerry Jones doing?
I don't know. Maybe he was trying to throw a curveball to the Saints.
I never know what Jerry Jones is doing, but what I can tell you is there's something to be said about a running back like Pollard that is very efficient on minimal touches, right? Because we've seen it. Chase Edmonds, immensely efficient on minimal touches. As soon as you give him 20 plus, looks very average, right?
Good point.
Yes, good comparison.
Those guys remind me a lot of each other, and we've seen
Drake
it with
was
other
another
guys
guy like that.
Duke Johnson in the past, Kenyon Drake, who I liked a lot.
Same.
You know, he had some games with Arizona that were really, really good, but just not what you would have hoped. And I just wiped all my notifications. What I seen was Corey Davis is active. Allen Robinson is inactive. Obviously, we talked about both Cardinals, Hopkins and Murray, both active. Jalen Hurts inactive. All official news coming through. So wanted to pass that along. Castile also says, who has the better match? Well, actually, we're going to skip that part. These are the other players that he has. Are you starting Pollard over any of these guys right now?
Hilliard, maybe Dante Hilliard. That's it.
I would start him over Josh Jacobs before I start him over Hilliard. Right.
I haven't seen enough out of Hilliard. He's only played one game, hasn't he?
Well, 1.5, and they're throwing him the ball a lot, which they need without both of their wide receivers. So
maybe Jacobs. Not the other two though.
Yeah, Fournette and Chubb are in my lineup all the time. And then I do think Pollard and Hilliard are like right now just like that. Which you're right, Hilliard could just completely fall off, but right now the way they're using him and as efficient as he's being, I don't know why they would.
Well, they don't have any receivers, so why not?
But I also don't know why the Raiders don't utilize Josh Jacobs more. It's a very, very inconsistent way, right?
Ridiculous.
We'll see him have 2-3 touchdowns in a week, and then the next week he gets 12 carries and no targets and puts up 45 yards, and people are wondering why he's in their lineup.
I wonder if they throw the ball to him a little bit more with Waller out.
They're gonna have to figure something out. That's for sure.
Should just be Foster Moreau. He does okay himself in that role. Mm-hmm. So who knows?
Yeah, but a lot of the times when Foster Moreau does that, like it's when Waller goes out in the middle of a game, right? Because Waller hasn't missed a lot of games. But yeah,
So this is a normal weekly 3-part question that the only reason it's a 2-part question is because one's on bye. So first and foremost, somebody didn't listen to you when you told him to trade a quarterback or two.
Unless he, for some reason, traded Rodgers. I doubt it.
Well, he might have, but he's also on bye, or else I think he'd be in this question.
And then these two are playing.
And he'd be the answer. Well, technically, the answer is easy. Herbert's got the better matchup. I believe the Chargers are top 5 against the quarterback when it comes to fantasy points. So, Herbert's got the better matchup. But I guess are we still starting him over Burrow?
I am, but I will tell you, I am worried about all of the Chargers on offense today. That's a cross-country flight. They lose hours in time change. West Coast teams don't travel east very well. The weather's not going to be as nice as it is in California. There's a ton of red flags there for me, but I'm still starting Herbert. I'm still starting Keenan Allen. I'm still starting Austin Eckler, but I'm nervous about that offense. And the Chargers haven't been playing very well lately. So, they're kind of disappointing, but I'm still Herbert over Burrow this week.
Cincinnati's defense has been a surprise this year.
It's been hot and cold though, right? They got lit up by the Jets and they've been good against other teams and they're Jekyll and Hyde. So I don't know what you get.
Yeah, but that's Herbert too. Has been Jekyll and Hyde. So I don't know what I get from him. So this is a tough one. It's literally, you know what, Castile? I'm gonna tell you what to do here. Here's what we're gonna do. We're going to go get a quarter. If you don't have a quarter, you can use a dime or a nickel if you want. Doesn't matter what it is. You're gonna say Burrow is heads and Herbert is tails, and you're gonna flip that thing, and you're gonna go with whatever the coin says, because I don't want you coming back next week being like, you told me to start Burrow. You told me to start Herbert. Because we don't know.
I'm just surprised he keeps asking me. That's all. I'm wrong every week.
I would probably go Herbert, but I want to go Burrow. So it's literally one of those. I might actually, if I had this issue, I might actually flip a coin. Because I don't know.
I'm going Herbert. Burrow, we like to start running backs against the Chargers defense, and the Bengals are one team that really loves to feed their running back. So I'll go Herbert just because I think the Bengals get in the red zone or into the 10. It's going to be Joe Mixon all day, which I don't want to see.
Joe Mixon has scored a touchdown in 4 straight. If he scores today in 5 straight, he'll be the first guy to do it since LaDainian Tomlinson did it back in 2006. Scoring 5 straight.
Get it, Mixon. I've always said, man, Mixon has as much talent as any running back in the league.
He's been on absolute frickin' fire lately.
Yeah. Kadarius Toney and Sterling Shepard both inactive today for the Giants versus the Dolphins.
I don't have anybody throwing the ball anyway.
Yeah. they're like, oh, Mike's starting.
Yeah, my hammy ain't quite right, Coach.
Yet. Still sore.
Freddie Kitchens calling plays. Mike Glennon playing quarterback. I'll take the week.
Did you say Joe Mixon's the first to score like touchdown, like one touchdown or 2 touchdowns
in 4 straight games? If he scores today, it'll be in 5 straight. And what
I
read
2 touchdowns or just 1?
I believe it's 1. And what I read this morning was he'd be the first one to do it in 5 straight since LaDainian Tomlinson did it in 2006.
Jonathan Taylor had a touchdown week 4 through 12.
Did he?
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like Derrick Henry probably broke that. Maybe it's 2. Isn't Joe Mixon?
Maybe it is 2. Maybe
I think it's 2.
I've been up all night, dude.
Yeah, I know. You have an excuse. You've been up since 1:30. So
I don't know what I've been reading.
We don't use excuses here.
If I'm wrong,
yes,
I'm wrong.
It's 2. No, it's 2. So he's got 2 touchdowns in 4 straight
that's
games.
Impressive.
That's a hell of a stat.
Get him 2
better
more today because I need him in a bunch of fantasy.
But when you said that, I was like, wait a minute. I know Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry has to have that for sure.
That's a Thomas. Only one player's had 10 points in a week.
Yeah. He's got 2 touchdowns in 4 straight games. Yeah.
Let's not make Pay wait too much longer. Pick 2: Javonte Williams, James Conner, or Eli Mitchell.
Oh man,
I'm going Eli Mitchell and Javonte Williams. That's where I'm at with this. Javonte, obviously, Melvin Gordon's out. He gets all the work. Eli Mitchell is just good. And I think we have to recognize that. He gets all the work when he's healthy in San Fran.
32 touches last week coming off injury.
Yep.
No Debo to take those rushing scores away.
Yep. Debo's out. I'm going Eli Mitchell and Javonte Williams here. Javonte Williams' first game where he gets to be the guy without Melvin Gordon impeding on that. I'm loving it. I'm loving it.
Against the Chiefs.
3 good options.
On prime time.
I am going with Eli Mitchell, my start of the week this week. And I am going with James Conner over Javonte Williams.
I'll take Javonte Williams versus James Conner for a $5 bet.
Okay. Put it on the board, Bryce.
It's on the board.
I think this is not the same Kansas City.
Just so everybody knows, don't start either of these guys because they're going to score like 7 and 5 points each, whichever side goes more.
Yeah.
Because we just bet on them.
Kansas City's defense is a lot better in the last half of the season than people are giving them credit for. They're shutting people down left, right, and center. And I don't think Javonte Williams just walks into 30 touches today. Mike Boone will be active and relevant in that Denver offense as well.
Not Melvin Gordon relevant, though.
No.
And Javonte Williams will catch some passes out of the backfield, which I love.
He will. Hey, don't get me wrong. These are all top 12 running backs for me this week. I don't think there's a bad pick here.
Yeah.
How about the second part of the question?
Javonte. So what did you say, Bryce?
Yeah, I was agreeing with you.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Derek Carr or Kyler at QB? We talked about Kyler earlier. Are we all starting Kyler over Derek Carr? I'm not sitting Kyler myself.
I'm not sitting Kyler as well.
These two guys have never been so close to each other in my rankings before, but Kyler is still my start.
Kyler. Darrell Henderson apparently is that.
Oh, come on, really?
Official? Looks like he's inactive. I haven't seen that one pop up unless I accidentally wiped it on my notifications.
Okay. Son of a bitch.
Castile says I can't trade in this league. Picked up Burrow, so my opponent couldn't grab him due to one of his roster injuries. So he blocked the guy. Now he can't do anything about it. Glock guy says Diggs or Hopkins this week. Diggs.
Diggs.
Definitely Diggs.
Diggs all around here. Glock guy, good luck. Hi all. Gronk or Kittle? Wentz or Russell? Thanks and have a great day. I'm going Kittle. Obviously, Debo's out. Kittle's going to be I would hope he's a very important part of the pass game. Obviously, last week, I think he had 1 catch for 13 yards.
Yep.
And that stings. But with Debo out, I think Kittle's going to be an important part of their offense in that passing game. Anybody going Gronk over Kittle?
Nope.
No.
It's close.
They're back to back in my rankings, if that means anything, but I have Kittle 1 spot higher.
And then the second part is Wentz or Russell, and this is more interesting. We've got Wentz with that good matchup against Houston. We do worry Taylor's going to take a lot of the points in this game. But Russ Wilson has been bad. And this is one of my favorite players in the NFL. I have him in quite a few spots in fantasy, but I am not comfortable starting him right now until he shows that whatever the issue is not an issue anymore. Whether it's that finger or whether he's just playing terrible for a stretch for the first time in his career. I probably go Wentz here. I just feel safer with it right now. Even if Wentz goes for 200 and a touchdown, I would take that over the floor that Russ has shown us here recently. What are you thinking there, Bryce?
Yeah, I'm going Kittle, obviously, but I'm going Wentz as well. Last week, I predicted Russ to bounce back and, fool me once, right? So I'm going to stick with Wentz in the safer floor. So, yeah, I'm going to agree with you. Sully?
Yeah, it's like I said, Kittle and Gronk are close in my rankings, so I'll go Kittle. He's 1 spot ahead. It's Carson Wentz for me. Russell Wilson is struggling, and I believe it's finger-related. So he was one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the NFL pre-finger injury and surgery, over 70% completion rate. It's dropped down into around 52%. And it's going to be cold tonight in Seattle. It's like under 40 degrees at kickoff. So anybody who's had any injuries and bones and pins and stuff knows that cold weather is not friendly to those. So I think you got to stay away from Russell Wilson. He's not running anymore. He's not really doing anything.
Yeah, it sucks. But Wentz is kind of like a Kirk Cousins light, right? Like Wentz isn't turning the ball over. He's putting up decent yards, throwing touchdowns. Wentz is on pace to throw 30 touchdowns. And after the beginning of the year, it didn't look like we were going to see that Wentz, but he's playing real well right now. So I like
throw 3. He's going to throw 3 picks today. Now that you said that, after what you did to my boy Kirk,
I just cursed him. Hillside also said, I forgot to ask about Cordorelle Patterson. Is he worth a start versus the Bucks? What did I say last week, guys? If Cordorelle Patterson is healthy, you throw him in the lineup.
Yep.
What a weird year. 100%.
It is a weird year, but until proven otherwise, if Cordorelle Patterson is healthy, he's running the ball really well. He's catching the ball really well. He's scoring touchdowns. You just can't sit him. Just can't.
Dude sold his soul to the devil, and it's paying off. So good for him.
You know what, man? I really just think that Atlanta has figured out the right way to use him, and part of it is I talked about this in our Facebook group, and I still go in and remind them every week when Cordorelle Patterson puts up 20.
Yeah, you won a $5 bet last week because of it.
But it's funny though,
Mike
like you look
Davis
at some of the,
is not good, and this is the first time that Patterson has been on a team where he was turned out to be clearly the better running back, right? Like it didn't make sense for Chicago to give him a bunch of carries with David Montgomery. When you go back to the Patriots,
could have been New England though. They didn't really have any then, did they?
I mean, our Patriots guy would have to say, but they had some decent running backs.
Yeah, he was getting utilized similar in the sense of like how he would be in the running back situation out at wide receiver, but he wasn't getting nearly the amount of volume that he's getting with Atlanta. Not even
that was with
Sony, right?
Michelle and stuff. So Sony was efficient. They
had a great rookie
catching the ball, but they had James White catching the ball, so they didn't need
a lot
of that. They just had better people for their the way they run their offense.
I forgot about James White. And Minnesota didn't know what the hell to do with him other than draft him in the first round. Thanks, guys.
Patriots are the ones that really started it. the hybrid role for him. Obviously, he got some carries in Minnesota and some receptions in Minnesota, but they didn't really utilize him very strongly in either way.
He couldn't really catch a cold when he played in Minnesota, but he was a great kick returner, right? So
it's pretty clear that he wasn't a wide receiver in the NFL. He fits this hybrid mold. The thing I never understood is why he would get freaking goal line carries in Chicago with David Montgomery on the team. Like, that didn't make sense to me. Very good athlete, though, and he's showing well. Good morning, guys. Pitts or Hockenson for tight end, and then Pitts, Hockenson, or Reynolds for flex half PPR. So we are looking for a tight end. So which tight end are we starting? And then are we starting Reynolds over either of them in the flex? So, Sully, where are you going with this? I believe you're going to be starting Pitts, right?
I'm starting Hockenson over Pitts at tight end. And I'm starting Pitts over Reynolds in my flex. Is that what the question is?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
I'm starting both tight ends. I don't really like one significantly more than the other. Honestly, Pitts has a juicy matchup right against the Tampa Bay, but it seems like teams are double teaming him a lot, and I expect the same today. So, but I'm still going to go Pitts over Reynolds. I probably lean Hockenson barely in the tight end. Rick.
Yeah, it's tough for me because Hawkinson's just so freaking inconsistent. And the one player that Goff has history with is Josh Reynolds. And Sully will tell you, I am not a Josh Reynolds fan. Josh Reynolds he reminds me of like Traquan Smith, right? Who can make some nice catches and stuff, but their value as a professional wide receiver comes as a blocker. They're both very good blocking wide receivers. And not necessarily your big play threat, but that's who Goff has a history with. And we saw it in Reynolds' first game with the Lions with Goff, their connection. So I feel like I'm throwing Reynolds in my flex, and then I'm probably going Pitts at tight end.
So we'll say this. Eric Kendricks is out for Minnesota this week. Anthony Barr is probably out this week. We don't have any linebackers, like nothing. And our secondary is adequate at best, but it's probably the strength of that defense right now. So I think Hockenson could have a very big day in the middle of that field rather easily today.
Yeah, I think the tight end thing. I think Reynolds is my start here over both. Just as what is probably the number one receiver for a Lions team that should be trailing the majority of the day. I will take that. Somebody says it's the Vikings. It'll be 1916. What are you going to do?
There's such a path to the Lions winning today. It's not even funny. We're down offensive lineman. Darisol's out again this week. We're moving guys around. We're putting Bradbury back at center. We're a mess.
No Swift for the Lions today.
True.
At least that's their best.
No,
player.
but their other running backs seem
Jamal's
to
good.
fit that same mold, right? Even Jamar Jefferson has been successful.
And even that guy's name I can't pronounce is pretty good too.
Igabugawale.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's right. Probably not.
Sounds right.
We could run on Minnesota, so it's not that hard.
Castile said Henderson Jr. is not officially inactive, but his projection with the 0 in the league that he's in.
He's unlikely to play.
Son of a bitch.
John McGrogan says, pick 2, PPR, Josh Jacobs, James Robinson, CEH. I'm assuming that he's got Darrell Williams as well here if CEH is out, because all of these guys are questionable, right?
What's wrong with CEH?
He probably just is barely on the injury report. You know, you could have like a scratch and they'll put you on the injury report as a question.
Well, you would know that better than anybody with your team.
Yeah.
I'm going James
Literally.
Robinson in the whichever Kansas City back is the starter there. CH if he's healthy, Williams if he misses. That's where I'm going with this.
Agree.
Sully agrees. Bryce, what are you doing?
I'm looking up James Robinson here.
He's questionable, but I think he plays.
He said he was feeling better on Saturday. So I am going to agree. I'm going to go with James Robinson and the Chiefs starting running back.
Castile says Moreau or Higbee. Moreau for me.
Same.
I agree.
Anthony says, hi, guys. PPR, start 3 wide receivers, 2 running back, 1 tight end, and a flex.
Nice.
Okay.
So your whole lineup.
Gotcha.
Yeah, build my roster.
So, Barkley, Madison, J-Rob, Montgomery, and Sony running backs. We're picking 2 of these. I'm going Barkley, Montgomery, and Madison in the flex.
Okay, start 3 wide receivers, 2 running backs, and a flex.
So the Rams played the Jaguars today, and Sony's the number 1 running back.
I am going to start. My 2 running backs are going to be Madison and Robinson. My flex is either Sony or Saquon. And I'm starting Godwin, Mooney, and Renfro. And do I have to pick a tight end too? I will take Logan Thomas.
Okay. I am going to go with Barkley and Madison as my running backs. Godwin, Mooney, Renfro, for sure. I'm going to go with Pitts, the tight end. So the flex is between Sony.
You still need a wide receiver and a flex. You need 3 wide receivers.
I went Godwin, Mooney, and Renfro for the.
Oh, I'm sorry. Gotcha.
Yeah, sorry. I might have didn't say it. So just the flex then. So it's between Sony, J. Rob, Montgomery. I'm gonna go with. They play. James Robinson plays the Rams today. I'm gonna go with Sony. I think that he has 2 touchdown upside today over the other 2.
Over Madison.
I know Madison
and Barkley. Okay.
And Sony.
So the wide receivers are easy, right?
Yeah.
The wide receivers easy. Godwin, Mooney, and Renfro.
Yeah.
I think is fairly easy. I am worried a little bit about Renfro though. Without Waller there, Renfro's the only guy to get attention in the as a receiver, right? Like nobody
He'll still
else
throw him
is
the ball
doing
15 times.
Well, yeah, but I mean, now he is literally the only guy they got to worry about because Bryan Edwards very inconsistent. Zay Jones, who's worried about Zay Jones?
Well, sooner or later, the Raiders have to use their running backs in the passing game, and Foster is decent enough.
But he's not Waller.
No.
I'm just saying, like, he is the guy. He's the number 1 guy on that offense now, right?
There's no doubt about it. You're right.
That always worries me, especially with a guy like with Renfro that's not like a dominant athlete, right? He's a very good route runner. But it's still those 3. Godwin, Mooney, Renfro. I think I'm going Logan at tight end. And then the running back's tough.
It is. I was looking at James Robinson's stats out of the backfield as a receiver, and they're nothing, eye-boggling. That's why it went to matchup for me with Sony. He's going to be fresh. I mean, that's Sony for me.
Yeah, I think I'm going Barkley, Madison, Montgomery. We talked about the rain in Chicago, probably running the ball more. Montgomery's probably the second most talented running back on this list outside of Barkley. I'm probably going Barkley, Madison, Montgomery. Man,
that's tough.
It's a tough one. I see he's got a Bears helmet too, so he's probably happy to hear Montgomery in there. So he's probably gonna take my advice on there.
He has a Bears helmet. He ain't happy about much.
We're both gonna be cursing Matt Nagy by halftime because Montgomery's not gonna get the ball.
Such a frustrating team to watch. I don't know how you do it.
Shut up, Sully. I hope Cousins sucks and throws 3 picks every game.
Good. Good. Music to my ears. Now he's gonna go off.
Hey, my team's fun to watch.
Your team is fun to watch, and it makes me sick.
No, they're not. It makes me sick just seeing the logo on your hat.
That's a good hat. I like that hat.
I know, I do too. It's
Shut up, Sully. Why are you such a nice Canadian?
I like the hat.
Shove it up his ass.
I hate the team.
Everybody hates the Patriots. Just tell him to
I
shove
hate
it up
the
his
Patriots,
ass.
but it's a nice hat. And his little
boy
Patriot
Craig
dude
says-
shows up every week.
I'm trying to beat our friend Paulie for a division win. Higbee or Hunter Henry? We have to get this right.
It's Tyler
Yeah,
Higbee's not even close.
Rick's friend Paul.
No. Bryce, who you starting?
I'm going Hunter Henry for sure.
I'm going Hunter Henry as well.
Yeah.
That touchdown.
So when Hunter Henry
streak-
doesn't score, he's had 4 catches or 37 yards or less in 7 straight games. So if he doesn't score, you're screwed. And he hasn't scored in what, 3 or 4 straight?
What's Higbee's stats?
Better.
Are they any better?
Better. I'm not going to tell you what they are, but they're better.
Well, I don't know what they are.
Okay, we
Well,
can look that up real quick. That's the
I can look it up
whole
really fast.
internet
I got
thing.
it.
Buffalo is, so I was looking at this yesterday while you guys did do that. Buffalo is ranked like one of the best against the quarterback this year. But if you look at the quarterbacks that they're holding, below 15 fantasy points, they're guys that like Trevor Siemian, I think Trevor Lawrence, like it's not big name quarterbacks. Like when they play a decent to elite quarterback, they let up the points. They lost Tre'Davious White for the rest of the season. I think the Bills defense is a little bit overrated when it comes to like people fearing their matchup. But so I'm not
Really good against the run, really good against the quarterback, but the passing game, they're a little bit vulnerable. And you're right, with Tre'Davious out, it's probably a little bit more. Tyler Higbee's averaging over the last 6 weeks about 4 catches and 40 yards.
But
He's only scored once.
Yeah, he's only scored 3 touchdowns all year. He's only scored more than 10 fantasy points in, I think, 3 matchups all year. Week
But
1
don't
and
you
week
want to
3,
start
week 2 of them.
Higbee without Henderson, assuming Henderson doesn't play, because Sony's not going to catch the ball out of the backfield. So that helps Higbee a little bit. And he's playing Jacksonville versus Hunter playing Buffalo. In Buffalo? Is it in Buffalo, Bryce?
It is in. That's a good question, actually. I had it up right here, actually. I was just looking at it.
I don't feel very good about either one of them, to be totally honest, but I would probably go with Tyler Higbee.
I don't know, man.
Let me make sure.
I would have thought that Higbee would be better without Robert Woods, but in the last 2 games, he's only had 4 receptions for 23 yards. He did have a touchdown, but that's only 10.3 points over the past 2 weeks without Robert Woods. Obviously, yes, Mr. Odell Beckham came in, but Odell Beckham has also only been with the team for 18 days at this point.
Stafford hasn't been that good, but you're right.
But they both worry me. I like the touchdown upside more with Hunter Henry, and that's why I'm going with him, because it seems like that team's going to score, even if it is versus Buffalo.
New England's also undefeated on the road. Like they haven't lost away yet this year.
Shut up about New England.
It's a good stat.
I'm just saying. He was talking about.
It's a good stat if we're picking which team's going to win.
So 2 out of 3 picked Hunter Henry. So go with Hunter Henry.
It'll be Higbee.
Probably.
Nick,
I don't think it'll be either one.
Says Montgomery, Jacobs, or Michelle, non-PPR. I'm going Montgomery. I feel like both these other guys are going Sony Michel here.
I'm in standard. I am.
Yeah, and standard for sure. But yeah, I picked him over him in that kind of that.
I didn't even read
question.
the non part. I read the PPR part, but
Would you
I don't
change
think
your
that
answer?
matters for Montgomery a lot. I mean, he might get 3 receptions, but I'm betting on him Montgomery, rushing touchdown and 80 rush yards or something.
I just think Michelle is 95% of Darrell Henderson.
On the ground, but I think he's about 20% of them in the air. But they don't throw him all the time anyway.
Probably. He's never really got the chance either.
Yeah,
he had James White with him. So
yeah, I don't
he's
think
okay,
he's
but
that bad as a receiver, but
we just don't know. We've never seen it.
True. Yeah. There's no data for that. So I think he has a great cake matchup, fresh. Like he's bound to have a pretty good. He just probably became the number 1 owned DFS person in cash lineups for sure today.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Oh, I should probably do that still.
Yeah, if you have any cash lineups, he's going to be number 1.
Here's the thing: when people talk about running backs and catching the ball, and when they have minimal opportunity, like you can tell and see how a guy catches the ball and know whether he's going to be at least, adequate in that spot.
Like when Jordan Howard used to try to catch the ball. Like you could tell he
Dude
couldn't
was
catch the ball.
Horrendous, yes. Yeah. But going back to rookie evaluations for 2020, we only seen like 5 opportunities for AJ Dillon when he was at Boston College.
It's true.
And I wrote up in my rookie eval, I think people are sleeping on this guy's ability to catch the ball because they didn't see it very often. He didn't have very many opportunities because they didn't throw him the ball. Leonard Fournette, same thing could be said about him at LSU. They just didn't throw the ball to the running back a lot, which obviously he has his ups and downs.
And then you have a guy like Josh Jacobs who was featured a decent amount at Alabama, and his professional football team won't throw him the football. So
yeah, so
figure that out.
It's definitely one of those things where I think you can tell who can catch the ball out of the backfield. It's not like wide receivers, right? Because you have a lot more contested catches at wide receiver where you need to see a larger body of work. Really, at the running back position, all you got to see is that the guy catches the ball with his hands and doesn't turn off too fast, right?
True.
A lot of running backs, their biggest problem isn't their hands, it's they start looking upfield too soon because they're trying to make that big play out of the backfield. So
very true.
But yeah, so Montgomery to Michelle's, start Michelle. What is the better draft format for Dynasty, snake or regular draft? Neither. Auction is the best format to draft for Dynasty, Marco.
Yeah, the startup, right? I mean, some people snake draft their rookie years.
That's terrible. That's terrible. The way we
auction
run
rookie is also terrible.
Auction rookie is also terrible. Yes. So I'll tell you this. I run like 15 leagues for Roto Heat. And we switched in 2019. All our startups went to auction. Much better. It gives everybody the opportunity to get the guys they want at the price that they want and they're comfortable with. And then what we do is we do the rookie drafts normal after that. So all of our rookie drafts are decided on. We have 6 playoff teams in all. So top 6 spots go to the 6 worst teams that don't make the playoffs in order of win-loss record. So the worst team gets the best pick, so on up to 6. Obviously, if people are tied, we use total points as the tiebreaker. And then the playoffs are selected where the first 2 teams out in the first week get the 7th and 8th pick. And then let me make sure I'm doing all this right, because there's a lot of back and forth there. They play a game the week after they lose for the better pick. So after they're eliminated from the playoffs, they play a game for the better pick. And then obviously whoever gets 4th will get 4th. We pay top 3. So the 3rd place team always gets the 10th pick, and then 11th and 12th go to the championships.
Oh, that Buffalo New England game is Monday night.
Yeah, it's tomorrow.
Good.
Yeah, people have been complaining. People have been complaining there hasn't been a good primetime game in a while. And I was like, well, at least this one, it might not be super fantasy relevant. Like there's not a ton of fantasy relevant on that game, but at least it's a good football game.
And you guys try to take Diggs away, I assume?
I would imagine, but the last time they tried to do that last year, Diggs put up 30-something points. So it was also near the end of the year and the season was pretty much over. But I liked it because I was in the fantasy playoffs with him.
You guys weren't exactly the same defense last year.
Gilmore looked completely checked out. Like he didn't look like he wanted to play.
Well, fellas, I didn't even realize.
Yeah, it's 12:15. Yeah.
We started at 11
gotta go
because it was slow last week. We do have all the questions answered. Nick did say that he's worried about Montgomery would be bad against the good Cardinal defense, but I feel like we're gonna have a lot of dump offs to Montgomery this week too, with Dalton back there because Dalton blows. So it could happen. But
Craig has one question before we go.
In case I missed it, are we doing this show next week? Yes, this is one show that we are going to continue throughout because there will be start sit question. It may only last a half hour. So as we get, going, we may start at 11:30 and do till noon. We'll just see how it's going, but we know there will be people that are in the hunt looking for answers to their start sit questions as they come up. So who knows? Maybe when we get to week 15, 16, it'll only last 20 minutes. I don't know. Obviously, we know that after next week, at least half the people that play fantasy, half the teams are out. half PPR, Burkhead or Collins. I'm going Burkhead.
Yep.
Burkhead. I think AP is the lead back there tonight.
It's insane.
Rashad
gross,
Penny's
but it's
back
true.
too, right? Like
That doesn't
it's
matter.
an ugly.
For 4 snaps, he is sure.
It's an ugly
DJ
backfield.
Dallas is their best running back for what it's worth, but he's not getting the touches. So,
All right, that is going to be it for the Boom or Bust show for Week 13. We appreciate everybody dropping in and asking the questions. Bryce, any last words on this? And are you going to play Warzone today?
I don't know if I'll be on Warzone. I might be later. But no, good luck unless you're playing me.
I say good luck if you're playing, Bryce.
yeah, good luck against Bryce, everybody.
Bryce, did we have a bet today?
We did not.
We did not.
What about Waddle?
Yeah, come on.
Do an
take any-
over-under.
You know what?
Do an over-under Waddle bet. 15.5 over-under.
Over.
That's a good line, Rick.
What was it?
15.5 PPR over-under.
No, I'm
Waddle.
not betting against Waddle. I told you this last week.
You know what? I'll give you any wide receiver in the league.
Any wide receiver.
Take any of them.
So Waddle
Any
against the
wide-
field.
Yes, go ahead. You get
Take
one.
the
You don't get
field.
to pick anybody. No, you don't get to pick anybody, but take one.
You get to pick one. You can't
Take
say
Cooper
all of
Kupp.
them.
How do you not take Cooper Kupp on
Yeah,
that bet?
I'm Cooper Kupp versus Waddle.
Okay,
I'll do
you
that.
know what? I'll be generous. This is my. This
Can
is
I get
my
in on
Hey,
that one?
hey,
late,
hey,
late
hey.
birthday gift to Rick.
Hey, one
I
last
think
real quick
I'm
one.
up on him anyway. So
One last really quick
Hey,
one. David
Missy.
Johnson is out for Houston, so Burkhead's an even better play.
Yeah, that's why I was saying Burkhead. I
Okay.
wouldn't, with David Johnson, I wouldn't have.
no, I got some.
I would. Burkhead was a stud last week. Cost me $5.
A stud. He scored 8 points.
Hey, 8 points is more than Alex Collins is going to score this week.
It's. I mean, that's true, but I wouldn't say Rex Burkhead was a
And that
stud.
guy's my
All right.
BFF. All right.
Later.
Peace.
Yeah.